The Pivot is now in its 7th generation, and it's Nash's performance all-around freeride kite. You can wave ride with it, you can learn with it, you can foil with it, you can do freestyle with it, and of course, you can do big air with it. The focus of the Pivot is really riding powered up and engaged. That's why it's 2-time King of the Air champion, multiple podium finisher in the Big Air Kite League, and a kite that you can really grow with and absolutely never outgrow the kite. New for this year, the Pivot features a power lock bridle system, which gives incredible structure to the center of the kite, to the middle leading edge of the kite for riding really overpowered, and even riding a big kite in a lot of wind, knowing exactly where the kite is all the time, giving it really, really good structure while still allowing the tips to twist for those pivotal turns. Of course, the Pivot is made to last as well. You don't want a kite that you can use hard for 2 or 3 months and then have to throw away. Not everybody's a professional. So the Pivot is still built to last. It's built with Quad-Tex ripstop. It's got aramid patches on the leading edge. It's got bumper reinforcements. It's made to withstand the rigors of really hard kiting year after year. So in general, the flying characteristics of the Pivot are predictability. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner or fighting for King of the Air champion, you want a kite that is predictable, that the power delivery, you know where it is, the range of the kite is big, you're not having to switch sizes every time the wind goes up or down 5 knots, and you want predictable steering and handling. You want to know where the kite is at all times. If you're a beginner, that feedback in the bar of knowing where the kite is and having a nice long linear throw in your power band is super important. As you're advancing through your kiting, learning new tricks, learning to jump, learning to do things where you're not focusing on the kite the entire time is also super important. And then of course, when you're one of the best guys in the world riding in death-defying conditions, doing really death-defying moves, even more so, you want a kite that's predictable, where you know exactly where it's going to be all the time, that it can catch you and that you can feel where it is in the window and in its turning arc all the time. So again, whether you're a beginner or best in the world, you want a kite like the Pivot that is super, super intuitive, that's really built around engaged riding. So for example, wave riding. If you like to wave ride and steer the kite and drive the kite into the turns and have your kite follow you down the line, the Pivot is amazing. If you want a kite that you can just park and flag, maybe not as good as, for example, the Boxer or the Triad, but obviously this is a kite that is going to really perform well in the waves, powered up, and when you're riding it hard. Same with foiling. If you want to ride a small kite, powered up, Maui-style conditions, the Pivot foil's fantastic. If you want a kite that you can just park in light wind and drive it back in the window, a Boxer, for example, will be a better choice. Whether you're new to the sport of kiteboarding or you've been doing this for 20 years like I have, you want a kite that really does everything well. You don't want to have 5, 6 different kites in your car. And the way riding is going these days, you probably have a twin tip, you probably have a directional, you've likely got a surfboard, maybe you like to foil, and you want gear that can adapt to the style of riding that you're doing. With a Pivot, you can have 2 kites in your car and you are covered with no compromise. You can ride in any style, in any conditions, and do it with that level of confidence that you want. So one of the reasons the Pivot is so adaptable and can be used for so many different styles of riding from riders of different levels is it's tunable. The power lock bridle is tunable. Of course, there's variable turning speed adjustments on the trailing edge of the kite, so you can really adapt the power delivery and the turning speed to your style of riding and your ability. The Pivot comes in a complete range of sizes, all the way from 5 to 14 square meters. So regardless of the conditions that you've got at home or where you travel to, the Pivot comes in a size that'll fit you perfectly. So unlike some other kite brands on the market, the Pivot isn't just a scaled kite through all of its sizes. The kites change as they evolve from size to size. So the 5 meter to the 10 meter to the 14 meter, for example, have different aspect ratios, draft positions, turning speeds to optimize their performance in their given wind range. I've been kiting now since 1997. And to me, I still want a kite that I know where it is in the sky all the time. And the Pivot is so predictable. that I never have to look at it. I can just tell from bar feel where it is in its turning radius, where it is in the window, and to me, that makes kiting that much more fun. If you're looking for a kite that you can push as hard as possible, if you're looking to push your kiting to the absolute maximum, regardless of the conditions you're riding in, the Pivot would be your choice.